In our last video we were sailing around the islands of France, and then towards the middle of July we headed to La Tabal and Le Croisic on the mainland to prepare for our crossing of the Bay of Biscay. If you watch our videos from the United States or Australia, then the Bay of Biscay might not be familiar to you, but to sailors in Europe it's almost kind of infamous, and as we're pretty new to sailing we were a bit nervous about crossing it. Biscay is a huge bay formed by the west coast of France and the north coast of Spain, and it's renowned for having quite harsh weather and big seas. But a lot of its scary reputation comes from the time before decent weather forecasting, and when ships couldn't sail into the wind or didn't have engines, so they could get trapped in the bay. In the modern day, with the mostly good weather forecasting and a modern boat, you can easily cross safely with a bit of planning and research, as we found out. But people do still get caught out here, and I've read a few times that the most difficult part of crossing the Atlantic from the UK is crossing the Bay of Biscay. To make our crossing fairly short, we decided to head down the Brittany coast towards La Rochelle and cross to the eastern side of the north coast of Spain. Some people say it's best to head straight from the UK or northwest France down to the northwest tip of Spain. But as we have plenty of time and we didn't want to miss out on Brittany or North Spain, we decided to head further in and await perfect conditions, and the conditions we got couldn't have been any better.
We're crossing from southern Brittany to Spain today, and it's going to take us about a couple of days, and hopefully we'll see a whale. We're about an hour into our Biscay crossing. We've done about 4 to 6 knots so far with just this gentle breeze, so it's great. The waves are really small, which really helps because they're just on the beam. It's usually not very comfortable. It's been raining, so we're wearing full waterproofs, and we're on a beam reach, which is probably our fastest point of sail, so it's going great so far.
The forecast was for a 15 to 20 knot breeze, and it would be from the northwest to start off with, then it would turn to the southwest as we got further south. But while the wind was favourable at the start, we set a course further west than our destination, and then we planned to keep the wind on or just forward of the beam so it would be nice and comfortable. This plan worked really well, and we had a relaxing and enjoyable passage. It's really great conditions, about 15 knots on the beam. It did increase for a bit, so we had to put a reef in the main and furl in the genoa a bit, but then the wind speed dropped off a bit, so we shook the reef out of the main. and yeah, cruising along at 4.5 to 5.5 knots, the 5-knot average, and it's going great.
This has got to be the best passage ever. We had 2 dolphin sightings and 2 pods playing with our bows. The second pod stayed with us for about 20 minutes and they put on a real show. It was amazing. And just about half an hour later I settled down here for my watch and I saw the fin of a sunfish going up and down, flapping up and down in the water. That was unreal. I had no idea there were sunfish in this area at all.
When we passed over the edge of the continental shelf, we saw a few boats appearing on the horizon. We figured these must be fishing boats targeting the area where the depth of the ocean changes from over 3,000 meters to a couple of 100 meters. So we put out our fishing line, but didn't really know what fish would be out there. To our complete astonishment, we caught a longfin tuna. It was by far the biggest fish we'd ever caught.
So that tuna was way too big for us, so we're gonna have a bit of chirashi, tuna steak. Got more tuna steaks for tonight, and then we're drying off the rest, which is pretty much most of it. It's the morning of day 3 and I can see land. I see mountains on the horizon, lots of them. We're about 15 nautical miles from our destination and I can't wait to raise the Spanish flag.
So we just got in from the Biscay crossing. We arrived into this really cool little town called Elantxobe. It's like a little village amongst these huge cliffs right on the coast. It's really great. The passage took 2 days and about 10 hours. So we arrived about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Both a little bit tired, but having a well-deserved beer.
When we first arrived into Elantxobe, we were expecting to pick up a mooring ball, as that's what it said in the almanac. But when we got into the little harbour, we realised there weren't any available, so we had to go alongside the town quay wall. This would have been totally fine if we were prepared for it, but we didn't have anywhere near enough fenders, so we had to improvise using the anchor buoy and the boat bucket. We really enjoyed staying on the wall, and it was great being able to step off Kittiwake straight into the village centre. There wasn't much to Elantxobe other than a couple of little shops and restaurants, but the taverna by the town quay served great calamares. We hope you enjoyed watching our little voyage across Biscay. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to, you can support the making of our videos through Patreon. Join us next time when we cruise the Basque Country and the beautiful North Spain coast. This section of coast isn't visited by many yachts, which is a shame as the towns and harbours are stunning against the backdrop of the Picos de Europa mountains.
We wanted to say thank you to our patrons and give a special shout out to our latest patron, David Hoffman, who has very generously pledged $50 per episode. When we saw that, we couldn't believe it. It was really generous. Thank you, David.